that. It gets me out meeting more people, and I'm not, even though I suppose I'm a computer nerd, I'm not just sitting in front of one computer all day, every day, doing the same type of thing. This way I'm seeing different people, getting different problems, or solving different problems, or helping people in different ways. Also, I first started using the internet in 1991, and back then there wasn't the web. The web started, I believe, in late 1991, so I was mainly doing text-based things with email, transferring files between universities and stuff like that, and also something called news groups, which I suppose, in simple terms, is just like an online forum. But it was all text-based then, and now it's gone on graphics and websites and so forth. So I've been using the internet for quite a long time. Now, what is the cloud? The cloud just means you can use files or computing services on the internet. So anywhere you are, as long as you've got an internet connection, you can use those same services. A lot of people think cloud are some mystical thing in the air. It's actually, it's still a computer. It's a computer sitting in a data centre somewhere. The data centre can be in Adelaide, Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, or even say London, Hong Kong, Singapore, or New York. Okay? Just means it's somewhere on the internet, and if you go with a good cloud provider, they'll tell you where their data centres are. So it's not just somewhere in the cloud, you'll know it's sitting in a data centre in Sydney, or it might be in Melbourne, or wherever. Now, before I go on a bit more, does anyone currently use any sort of cloud services?
Well, Dropbox is cloud, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. A lot of people like Dropbox is cloud services, Gmail and Hotmail, they're all cloud services, and a lot of people already use them and they don't even know they're actually using cloud services. Also websites, if you've got a website, that's generally hosted in the cloud. So a lot of people are frightened of the cloud. They go, oh, I don't want to go to the cloud, I don't want to do that, it's too scary, it's whatever. And you go, well, are you using Gmail? Yeah, of course I'm using Gmail. And you go, well, that's a cloud service. Have you got a website? Yes, I do. Well, that's cloud service. So a lot of people are frightened, but when they stop and think of it, they're already using cloud services. You can come in if you like.
Is that the presentation skills not?
It's cloud computing or
Web solutions?
web solutions.
No, that's true.
Sorry about that. But yeah, a lot of people think it's scary and stuff, but they're already using it and they don't realise it. How has cloud or IT services evolved over the years? Well, probably in the olden days, businesses would buy a server, put it on premise, and then set it all up and use it. So they'll spend $10,000, $20,000 or even more for a server, put it in their business, set it all up, and have their users accessing databases, files, emails, and so forth. Well, what the cloud enables is you don't have to have that upfront cost. You don't have to put that server in your premise. You can purchase on a monthly basis the same type of functionality you get if you put in your own server, but without the large upfront costs. So the new way generally is people buy devices to access the cloud, so they can buy a computer, buy a laptop, buy a tablet or a smartphone, and then purchase services that are actually on the internet. So they don't need a local machine or a local server to have the same functionality as they used to do in the olden days. As with anything, there's advantages and disadvantages. So what are some of the advantages of the cloud? Well, there's no large upfront costs. As I said, you don't need to spend $10,000 or a lot more in some cases for a server for your premises. You don't need some computer geeks to come in over the weekend and set it all up for you. There's still maybe some setup fees, but it's not as much as what you had to do in the old days. Also, small 1 or 2 person businesses can afford what used to be only available to large corporates, because they have the big funds, they can afford 10 servers or more in their data centres to perform all these functions. Now you're just paying for it on a monthly basis, and a small 1 person, 2 person business can afford these types of services. You can also access your data from anywhere. So you can be in your office, you can be at home, you can be on holidays, like lounging by the pool. You just need an internet connected computer and you can access your data. You can access your finance, you can access your emails, you can access your files. There's also something called elastic computing. which means you can grow and shrink your computing resources on an as-needed basis. So a lot of people may start as a two-person business now, but in 5 years' time, I think they'll have 100 people. So they can grow their computing resources over time. They don't need to buy a server initially for 100 people when they've only got 2. They can grow the services as needed. Also, some companies may only use, or they grow at certain times of the year. They may run a function once a year. So they may have 100 staff for 1 month or 1 week a year, and for the rest of the time it may only be 1 person or 2 people. So what you can do is for that month or week you need enough services for 100 users, you can purchase that. And then once it's finished, you can drop down your account and then only pay for 2 or 1 or however many people you need. There's also less ongoing maintenance costs. So instead, if you have your own on-site server, if something happens to the hard drive, you have to get someone in to replace it. The motherboard dies or your internet connection dies, you have to get someone in to fix it. So there's always ongoing maintenance costs. With a cloud provider, you don't know if a hard drive has died on their servers. They do it all in the back end, so you don't see it. You don't have to worry about it. Also, it makes it much easier for disaster recovery. So God forbid your premises burns down. In the old days, if you had an on-premise server, you'd be probably at least a week before you could get it all back up and running. That's if you had the backups and things in the first place, because a lot of people don't do backups or anything. But in the cloud, if your premises, say, burns down, you can go to any place. You can go to the library, somewhere where there's a computer and internet connection, and still be up and running. So there'll still be a slight downtime, but there's not as much as you would have in the old days. What are some of the disadvantages? I say ongoing monthly costs, because some people don't like to pay for it. Depends on how they run the business. They may prefer to pay X $1,000 up front, and then they know they own that machine, they've got it there, they don't have to keep paying for it. There's also slow or unreliable internet connections. Now, a lot of places, especially here, I suppose in Hallett Cove, internet connection can be unreliable, very slow and things. That can affect whether you move to the cloud or not. But there's the NBN that's coming out, that's rolling out across all of Australia. So that will solve a lot of those problems. And we've got Peter here, so if you want to know when the NBN is coming, just speak to Peter and he'll tell you in your suburb or your street or whatever it is, the NBN will be coming next month, or not next month, but 6 months down the track, or a year, or if it's 2 years later. If it's still a long time away, there's also other types of internet access you may be able to get at your premises. The NBN is great, but there are other internet delivery methods. For example, I've got an office at North Vale, probably about a year ago, 12 months ago, all we had was a 4 meg ADSL connection. That's 4 meg download and 1 meg upload. And then now I've got about 16 meg download and a 6 meg upload speed. And that's without the NBN. So there are other methods out there. So if you're not getting NBN for a couple of years, speak to me. I may be able to get you faster internet in a different way. So the NBN is great. Don't think I'm bagging it, but not everyone can get it. So we have to look at other methods or other things out there.
Is there going to be issues as well as far as costings and things are going to be quite different to what current plans are
with the NBN or
yeah.
No, they're roughly the swap. It's slightly more, but it depends on what plans and things you want to go on. So they're roughly the same as what you're currently spending. But it depends on what you want and so forth. But yeah, speak to people with Telstra, who can help you out with everything. And then there's things like as well, the plan might be slightly more, but it might include phone calls sort of thing. So you were paying previously for a phone line, phone calls and internet. It might be all bundled together. So maybe say $10 a month more, but everything's bundled together.
In the last few weeks, in the news about that, you think, oh, is that just scaremongering or is there reality to that?
Yeah. So it depends on what you're paying currently and what you're going for. Yeah. And then with the NBN, you get different speeds and so forth. So if you want the latest and fastest, greatest, you are going to be paying more. Okay. Also, there's potential legal and privacy issues. So certain industries, they may have to comply with various rules and regulations. So one of the hot topics is your data may not be able to be hosted overseas. So make sure whoever you go with for your cloud provider has servers located in Australia. Some people don't care, but then again, like Brad was saying, if something happens overseas and it's daytime in Australia here, they may be nighttime, so there's no support and so forth, so you may not be able to get into contact with their support. Or their support might be just a chat thing on the computer. You can't pick up the phone and actually speak to someone. So it's always good to have someone with at least Australian contact. There's various types of cloud deployment you can have for your business. There's what's called a public cloud, where you can go to a provider and purchase a service straight off them. So anyone and everyone can go say, I want that, I'll give you X dollars a month, and they go along with it. There's also something called the private cloud, where you can still purchase your own server, but then put it in a data centre yourself. So then you're not worrying about what happens if there's a power failure, what happens if my internet goes down in my office. It's still out in the cloud, anyone can access it, or you can access it from any location. There's also a hybrid model, and this is what we find a lot of companies are going with, at least initially. So that means you've got some services in the cloud and some still locally. So you may have email in the cloud, but all your file sharing, backups and everything is still happening locally. So a lot of people again are frightened that they have to move everything into the cloud to begin with, but no, you can do that if you want, or if you're a new business starting up, it might be best to do that initially. But what we find is clients take it one step at a time, and then they find out the benefits and is the internet speed too fast or not too fast, too slow or whatever. So you don't want to put everything in, maybe not initially, especially in internet speeds. What are some of the ways that the cloud can help your business? Well, I'll elaborate on these points in the next few slides, but there's email hosting, there's backups, there's online file sharing, there's website hosting, there's accounting. You can have servers, database servers in the cloud, any type of server you want, all in the cloud. As I said, I'm only briefly covering things, so if you need anything else, just let me know. Cloud-based email. What we're finding now is people don't just have the one computer. They've got their computer at the office, their computer at home, they've got a laptop, they've got a tablet, they've got a smartphone, so that's 5 devices. People want to be able to synchronise all their email, contacts and things across all their devices. This is what you can do. You can also easily share mailboxes between employees. So you may have one person that's out on the road. So people ring up and you have to put bookings in for him. Previously you'd have to ring him up, are you free at this time? Or I'll put a booking in for you next Monday at 12 o'clock. Now you can just put it in their calendar and it'll auto appear on their phones, their computers and so forth. So you don't have to contact them to add it to their calendars. Again, also you may be going away and you forgot your laptop, or you forgot you can take your computer or your tablet. It doesn't matter, you can just go onto any internet connected computer and you can just log in and bring up all your emails and see what's happening, all your contacts and emails and calendar information. Online backups. What happens a lot now, I go and speak to people and one of the first things I ask them, do you do backups? And they look at me strange and go, oh no. They haven't set it up, or they've set it up years ago and never touched it. So they think it's working, but they never test it, and most of the times it's not actually working. Or they're meant to be doing something manually every day or once a week, but they never do it. They'll do it for the first few days, but then 6 months later they've forgotten about it and never do it. Or they may have it automatically set up, but they never check things like has the hard drive filled up or anything. They're not checking anything. But with the cloud, you can set it up all automatically, so it will happen every night at a certain time. Or you can also have it set up so during the day, it'll automatically back up all your changes to the cloud. So you don't have to remember to do anything, change hard disks or anything like that. It's all done automatically. Plus, cloud providers can also do sort of multiple copies. So it's not just last night's backup. You can go back to a file last week or last month, depends on the provider. Also, it's off-site. Again, if someone breaks into your premises, they'll pitch the computer, and more often than not, the backup drive's just sitting next to it, so they'll pitch that too. So unless you take a hard drive and take it home with you, or take it off-site, yeah, doing backups is great, but it depends on what happens. If someone, as I said, comes in, breaks into your business, office, house, or whatever, they'll more than likely not just take the computer, they'll take your backups as well. So again, you're stuck. What can you do? Start from scratch. But with it all online, you can just go again to another internet connected computer, download all the documents and continue working. You can do an online file server, so you can again securely access your data from anywhere on the internet. You can also more easily share documents between employees or even a member of the public. If you want to send a certain document to a certain person, supplier, client or whatever, you can just send them a link, they can click on it and get access to that document very easily. You can also access and edit your documents on any type of device, a Windows machine, a Macintosh, iOS like iPhone or Android phone or anything. You can be sitting at the airport changing a quote you have to send out to a client. Yes,
sorry to interrupt. Can you go in and train people on how to use that sort of thing if they're unfamiliar with it? Is that part of it?
I generally don't do training, but I can do it, yes.
So while you're setting things up for them, you can sort of
we'll
show
show
them
you
how to
how to
file
do it,
sharing
yes.
and things like that?
Yeah. Yeah, so if we set up things like this, we will sit down and say, this is how you share calendars, or this is how you can share contacts between users, or share emails, share files and so forth, yes. So where to go to from here? So I suppose the number one thing is evaluate what you actually want, okay? Then sit down with someone like myself who will probably first check out your internet speed to see if it's quick enough. Because it's no good moving everything to the cloud, which we find some other people do, and then your internet's so slow and they can't do anything. We've got a lot of, I suppose, real estate agents as clients at the moment. They've got an industry-specific package, and that supplier is just pushing cloud, 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 and they go onto the cloud without telling me. Then they ring me up and go, my internet's so slow, what's the matter? And you go, that's because 10 people are trying to use that application all at the same time. They don't look at that issue. So check your internet speed. Also, as I said before, you don't have to start off with the whole shebang in the cloud. Start with one thing at a time, maybe emails, maybe backup, and then look at further expanding things as you go from there. That's all I've got to talk about, but as I said, I've only briefly touched the surface. If you want to know more, just let me know. We can grab a coffee later, grab me afterwards, and we can go from there. I've got all my contact details there and all my social media, so feel free to like us on Facebook or whatever. So, any questions?
Can I ask what might sound like a dumb question?
There's
But
no no.
just when you mentioned about, you know, having links to files, what is the difference between just, you know, sending your file directly through your email versus having a link?
Well, if you send, depends on what you're doing with that file. It may be, say, a price, you're a supplier, you've got a price list, okay? You can tell all your dealers, suppliers, and public, this is where the price list is. If you just send them the file, you can't then change it, okay? So next month or whenever you update your prices, you have to resend it out again. If you just have one file and they link to that file, they'll get that updated copy.
Anytime they access it, it will be changed.
Yes, unless they download it and have a local copy, they can just click on that link again and get the updated copy of that file.
Is security also a part of that? Like, it's more secure if you're sending files that, you know, you don't necessarily want to send over email. Is it any more secure?
Probably email is very low security because anyone in between where you send it from to where you send it to, you can actually read it unless it's encrypted. So email is very unsecure, whereas this way is more secure. It's all a secure link and so forth, so it's all encrypted. So it again depends on what cloud provider you go to, but yes.
Yes. What about security for sensitive information on clients, like health-related details or anything really,
Yeah.
financial details.